Yo, what is good, all my gamers out there? It's that one and only Godsend Killer, aka A&B, and today you guys are watching some Star Wars Battlefront, some Drop Zone gameplay, mixed with a little bit of Walker Assault gameplay towards the end. But this video isn't really about the gameplay itself; it's more about the topic we're gonna talk about. So enjoy the background gameplay. But anyways, we're gonna be talking about multiplayer-only games and if they should be cheaper than your normal type of AAA games that may include both a single player and a multiplayer, or just a single player. Now obviously we're talking more about AAA games because games that are like indies and stuff, they usually don't cost that much. But anyways, the reason why this topic came into my head is because I believe 1 or 2 weeks ago Activision announced that their Black Ops 3 wasn't going to have single player for the 360 and the PS3, but it would still have the multiplayer, both zombies and the competitive multiplayer. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because for them taking out their single player, they actually made the game $10 cheaper, meaning that, of course, it probably was a PR stunt because they didn't want their last gen fans getting all kinds of upset that they were missing a part of the game, but they still made it cheaper. Now, a lot of people will argue that, oh, multiplayer games should be cheaper from where they only have multiplayer in them. But I think the part that gets complicated is, what about if the game is just made for multiplayer from the ground up? How much is $60 worth of content for a multiplayer game? Like, okay, is 17 maps and like 5 game modes, is that worth $60? Should it be less that's worth $60? That's the things that we have to really try to figure out. So this topic is somewhat complicated because the answer is going to vary for, probably pretty much everybody. Now let me say this. I think games in general should be cheaper, especially digital distribution games. Excuse me if I can talk right. But I think that download games should be cheaper only because that's how they're supposed to be. You're not making a disc, or you're not paying for manufacturing costs, nor are you paying for third-party sources like GameStop and like mom and pop stores to sit there and sell your products. So you cut off the price of the disc and selling it through other people. Digital games should be cheaper, but from where you have places like GameStop that has such a stronghold or a strong grip in like the gaming community and whatnot, they kind of pretty much force the games to still remain $60 because obviously they want a slice of that pie, which I guess you can't blame them because that's how they stay afloat. They need the money. But anyways, as I pretty much was trying to say before I rambled on there, is that I believe games should be cheaper in general. But as far as multiplayer only games like Star Wars Battlefront, it's a tough call because it's like, okay, how much content are we getting with the game? Now I had a few viewers and I heard some people's opinions in general that they feel that Star Wars Battlefront, it may be a cool game, but they don't think it's worth the full asking price of $60, or respectively wherever you come from, the full price of a game. Now with Star Wars Battlefront in particular, it's a tough call because we don't know exactly how much content we're getting. With this beta, we only got 3 game modes with a map for each mode, so it's hard to tell whether or not we're going to get a jam-packed full of maps and guns and all sorts of content. It's hard to tell, but knowing EA, they already put out a season pass, and the season pass is $50, so yeah, you know how that works, guys. You know how EA does it. I mean, Titanfall was probably one of the only few exceptions where it came out with a lot of maps from the jump. I think it had like roughly around 12 to, was it 12? Maybe it had been even more, like maybe around 15 maps, possibly. Don't quote me on that, but Titanfall did come out with a lot of maps. It was just missing other parts of, as far as like, having a lot of guns, or I should say it was lackluster in other parts. Now, as far as multiplayer AAA games, personally speaking, I think they should be cheaper because more often than not, we honestly don't get enough content because, of course, these developers and publishers, they want to put food on the table, so they end up, making all these DLC maps. They give us, exactly what we need, like the bare minimum a lot of the time, and then they charge, of course, like $60 or $50 for the season pass, and release these more maps and guns for us. So you know, it's I think they should be cheaper, but then again, like I said earlier, it's still complicated because it's hard to tell how much $60 is worth as far as, you know, a multiplayer only game. Like how many maps and guns and other items in the multiplayer game do you need in order for it to be worth $60? So I think this conversation is still somewhat complicated. Then this is where you guys come in. You guys let me know in the comments below. How do you feel about this? Do you think multiplayer only AAA titles should be $60, or do you think it should be cheaper? Of course, a lot of us would probably say, you know, cheaper, but there might be a few guys out there like, no, I think $60 is a fair asking price. Maybe you may know a game developer, and so you kind of know the struggle that they may have to go through, you know, to put food on the table and whatnot. Because I understand, you know, everybody has to get their hustle on and make money some kind of way. But personally speaking, I think multiplayer games should be cheaper. But then again, I think it varies from each game. But anyways, guys, again, let me know your thoughts about this in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, please do leave a thumbs up, guys. It helps more than you know. And I'll be talking to you guys in the next video. Until next time, laters.